Hi, my name is Greg Wilkins. I'm the handicapper at Manly Yacht Club. This is my hopefully very short video introducing you to sailing.mortbay.org, which is a little website I've been working on for the last month or so. And it's there to do sailing performance factor analysis. They're time-corrected factors across the entire Australian keelboat racing fleet, not little keelboats but bigger keelboats. And this is a very brief introduction of what we can do with it. The idea of this is a tool to help us analyse how our PHS handicaps have gone at the end of the season and help us to set new PHS handicaps at the beginning of the next season. So what do? This system imports ORC, AMS, Blue Water, Point Score, SailSys, Top Yachts, anything else we can get, and it crunches it up in a big analysis. We look at how we can convert a 2021 ORC certificate all the way to, say, a target year of 2025 IRC for non-Spinnaker, Spinnaker, and we look at how good they are in terms of do they correlate along the line. If so, we give them nice big weights. If they're bad, like there's a bad one here, they're scattered all over the place, we give them low weights. And the whole system is built around these weighted correcting factors. If the weights agree, if the values agree, the weight gets bigger. If the values disagree, then the weights get smaller. And so we put this all into our data browser. We have all these clubs we can look at. Let's pick a club, pick a big one, CYCA, and we can see it's got that many boats, lots of series and races. I can look at all the detailed data of that if I want to. I can look at its boats. Here are the boats that are assigned to CYCA. If it's wrong, you can say, if this boat isn't a CYC boat, you can say request an edit. You can change the club that it's at, and you can send in a message to say change that, and we will change it. With our boats, the clubs, what we do is we allocate 3 different numbers to a boat. We'll allocate its reference factor, the time-corrected factor that we think the design of that boat should get. Let's do Middle Harbour because it's probably, we'll stick with this one. Then we do the performance factors, which is the optimized one where we jiggle all the numbers in an optimization algorithm where we say what's the best time correction factor we can give for this boat or all boats, so that across the entire Australian fleet we have minimum residues of the leftover time when we look at all the races, and we can see here is a plot of races that this boat's done and how many residues. So we try and minimize the variance away across the entire fleet to come up with a single number for inshore, offshore, windward, leeward, passage racing, short-handed. We do Spinnaker, non-Spinnaker, and two-handed. But female helm, charity race, one number, almost certainly incorrect. But the only thing, it's a guide to set us at the start of the season and to evaluate at the end of the season. We can look at the different designs that we've got. We can look at the boats of a given design, things like that. We can look at the series, or we can go from a club, let's say Manly Yacht Club. Here we are, and look at our series. Let's look at, say, the Twilight series. Here are all the different races plotted on the Twilight series. These lines are, each line is a race with the corrected time from our performance factor allocated. And so what you'd expect to see is that a corrected time for all boats should be a draw. So you want to see as many level lines as possible. You can drill down into an individual race. Let's say Twilight's there. I can just click on here and go to that race. I know that goes to the boat. I can go to the races and missed. There's the 16 races. I can look at each individual race. I can see there's the elapsed time and there's the corrected time with our profile factor, and we can skip through and see what they're all like. We can say once we have these races, we can compare boats. I can say my boat MYC 32 Esprit, and this is now populated with the boats that it races against. There's Absolute, it's raced against, and say Mondo. There's another one we race against, Mondo. And we get this chart here. Let's turn off some of the detail, which I don't want to talk about. This is showing all the races these boats have done. We can look at just the ones they've done together, which is only a few. We can look at the last 12 months. We can look at the real axes from 0, or we can look, zoomed in. Once we find a bunch of boats that we find compare well, so this is Esprit versus Absolute, nice straight trend. Esprit Mondo, a bit of a scattergun up here, but for the longer races, but for the shorter races we seem to be good. Again, we can probably look at, say, non-Spinnaker, maybe the Twilights, and Absolute versus Mondo. If we find boats that compare well against each other, we can say, well, here's the performance factors for these 3 boats. Let's say in our handicap system, Mondo is a 1.05 boat, and Absolute is a 1.01 boat. It's already saying that it doesn't like those handicaps, that Mondo's too low and Absolute's too high, but if we had those, it would recommend Esprit was given this handicap with a fairly, it's a fairly high confidence, so because there's only two other boats to come up against. And we can then say, well, in this race here, those 2 boats with those allocated handicaps would have had a nice line like this. We can do more and more boats. We can actually say, let's go to the data browser, let's go to a series, let's go to clubs, to Manly Yacht Club, series. We can say, let's look at our winter series, I think was the one I prepared. Winter series, there's the 3 races of the winter series. We can say compare the boats that did the winter series. There they all are there. That chart becomes a little bit noisy, but we can say, I can go to the winter series results from say Top Yacht or Salesys or Blue Whale Point Score. I can copy the URL. I can say, fill out this table with the actual handicaps allocated. This now tells me whether it thinks they're high or low, and on those allocated handicaps for a given race, if I find a winter series race, let's find a winter series race, Club Champs, where's the winter series race? There's a winter series race. We can see that's the elapsed time, almost a bit level actually, which means it wasn't a very good race. Winter series is a bit strange. That's what the allocated handicap did. Sandhoy had a great one there. And this is what the performance factor would have done as a fixed one. And then we can pop through and look at the different races. No results there. Only Absolute turned up. And only 2 boats with allocated handicaps turned up. Why does Ludicrous Mode doesn't have one? Ludicrous Mode, she should be there. Oh, we found a bug. Oh no, because they're different things. Ludicrous Mode is there. That is Ludicrous Mode. They scrunched it up a little bit. I need to put a label on that. Anyway, so that's the tool. If we don't know the boat's individual performance, we can do a very similar thing with designs. We can say an Adams 10. What have I done wrong? Oops. I clicked compare designs, Adams 10, and against a Braun Surprise. Here's the races that they've done. Here's the race. That's the linear of how good a comparison they are. We can start doing something along a Cavalier 395 turns up and joins the party. We could say the Grand Surprise was a 0.98, the Adams 10 was a 0.96, and so therefore it recommends the Cavalier be 0.94. So you can use a design to allocate a handicap. We have lots of documentation. We have a 35-minute video. Everything's on GitHub, so you can go to GitHub and submit issues. You can help me clean the data by doing boat merges or design merges or boat edits, as we showed. That's my very rushed introduction. Look at the 35-minute video for a bit more detail. Everything's very experimental, very early days. Got to improve the optimization, got to clean the data up. Got to know if people really like the, oh, did I show the performance factor? I didn't show the performance factor. Last thing. So let's look at Middle Harbour Yacht Club. I'm blowing my, I can't, 5 minutes, Middle Harbour Yacht Club. Let's look at your boats. The performance profile number, hide the empty ones, boats who didn't get it. This is an attempt to rank boats on other information I can scratch out of the data. We have 5 boats: how frequently a boat races and how over the whole year it races, consistently, how consistent are its results, how minimal residues against what's predicted from its performance factor, diversity, does it race against big fleets and different boats, and does it frequently race against big boats, stability, is it stable results over time, or is it getting worse, or is it getting better, and then chaotic, does the boat, when it has a bad day, does everyone else have a bad day? Which is normal. If it has a good day when everyone else has a bad day, that means it's less chaotic. And if it has a bad day when everyone else in the race has a good day, that means it is chaotic. So that's a ranking there. We rank the boat on these 5 different spokes, and then we give them a score on the area. And so you get a nice pretty graph that you can put on your t-shirt of different shapes and sizes. And this is entirely experimental, but it's telling me that in, say, Middle Harbour Yacht Club, the best performance profile is Philosopher, then Gambler, then Zen, Walia, Botany Access. I have no idea if this is anywhere near correct or meaningful. I would love clubs to look at this and say, yes, this is telling me something. We're going to give the best performance profile boat at the end of the season a nice prize with t-shirt with a pentagon on it. That would be wonderful. Or tell me that, Greg, this means nothing. Advanced philosophy, they're shit. They don't deserve to be on top. Love the feedback. Anyway, that's all I've got time for. Read the documentation, look at the website, give me issues on GitHub, or merge boats or edit boats on the website. Sailing.mortbay.org, running on a Raspberry Pi in the cupboard over there. Be gentle. Cheers.